They walked into a national park and vanished forever. America's national parks are places of breathtaking beauty, but for some, they become the backdrop for an eternal mystery. They are sanctuaries of nature, vast expanses of wilderness that call to the adventurer in all of us. But their serene beauty masks a dangerous, unforgiving reality. These are wild places, where the line between awe-inspiring and terrifying is perilously thin. Every year, millions of people visit these parks, creating memories that will last a lifetime. For a few, however, the park is the last place they are ever seen. While there isn't one single, public database of every person who has gone missing, the National Park Service does investigate these cases, and their list of unsolved cold cases is a somber reminder of the risks. The year 2020, in particular, saw a number of strange and terrifying disappearances that swept across these vast wildernesses. People from all walks of life, with different levels of outdoor experience, stepped into the wild and were never seen again. From a woman who calmly walked away from a car crash to others who vanished without a single trace, their stories are baffling, leaving investigators with few clues and families with endless questions. These are the chilling stories of those who walked into a national park and vanished forever. Section 1. The Bizarre Vanishing of Sandra Johnson Hughes. Our first story begins in the summer of 2020, a time when so many of us were looking for an escape from a chaotic world in the solace of nature. Sandra Sandy Johnson Hughes was one of them. At 54 years old, Sandy was an experienced outdoorswoman, a free spirit who had once trained to be a park ranger. After recently moving back to her home state of California from Hawaii, she decided to go on a solo camping trip. Her family described her as fiercely independent, organized, and meticulous. They said a piece of litter on the ground would bother her, a detail that makes the scene of her disappearance all the more disturbing. The last time her family heard from her was on June 26, 2020. She was camping in the Sierra National Forest, a sprawling 1.3 million-acre wilderness just south of Yosemite National Park. For days, there was silence, but her family wasn't worried at first. Sandy was capable. The alarm was finally sounded on July 5th, not by a call from Sandy, but by a discovery made by authorities. They found her campsite near Johnson Meadows, and it was a total mess. Her niece, Ashley, later described it on Facebook. The campsite, with her belongings, was quite disheveled. Things were thrown about all over, almost as if her car and belongings had been emptied carelessly. This was completely out of character for the woman who was known for her neatness. It was the first major red flag. The mystery deepened when they found her car, a silver Saab. It had crashed into a tree at a very low speed before rolling into a ravine less than 5 miles from her camp. It was a minor accident, yet Sandy was gone. But she had been seen. On July 4th, a day before her camp was found, a group of hikers saw Sandy near the Chiquito Pass trailhead. Their description was unsettling. She was barefoot, had a bruise on her face, and seemed distressed. The hikers, worried, offered her help. Sandy calmly refused and just walked away, deeper into the wilderness. This was the last confirmed sighting of her. She was offered a way back to safety, and for reasons nobody can understand, she chose to walk further into the mystery. The Madera County Sheriff's Office and Yosemite officials launched a massive search. They scoured the rugged terrain on foot, with dogs, and from the air. About 2.5 miles from the crash site, inside Yosemite's boundary, they found a sleeping bag matching one Sandy had recently bought. But of Sandra Johnson Hughes herself, there was no other sign. Then, over a month later, another strange sighting. On August 9th, 2 hunters saw a woman matching Sandy's description leaning against a tree. She looked thinner, but didn't seem to be in distress and made no attempt to get their attention. The hunters only realized who they'd likely seen after their trip when they saw a missing person flyer. Could this have been Sandy, surviving for over a month in the wild? If so, why didn't she seek help? The theories are as tangled as the forest she disappeared into. Did a head injury from the crash leave her confused? That would explain the bruise and her refusal of help. Or did she want to disappear? That seems unlikely for someone so responsible and close to her family. If the hunters really did see her, it paints a picture of a woman surviving on her own, but choosing not to be found. Was she hiding? Or had the wilderness claimed her mind? The massive creek fire later that year complicated any further searches, scorching the very land she was last seen on. Today, the case of Sandra Johnson Hughes remains open. She walked away from a crash, refused help, and vanished, leaving behind a bizarre trail of clues that only deepen the enigma. Section 2. The final hike of Gleason Chip Lewis. From the granite peaks of the Sierra, our story now moves to the stunning Red Rock Canyons of Utah and Zion National Park. This is a place of breathtaking vistas and dangerous heights, where our next mystery unfolds. It's the story of Gleason P. Chip Lewis, a man who, like so many others, was simply looking for a day of adventure. On February 29, 2020, Chip Lewis, a 69-year-old from St. George, Utah, drove to Zion National Park. He was an avid hiker, familiar with the local trails. His plan for the day was to hike the Observation Point Trail, a challenging but popular route known for its incredible panoramic views. He was last seen getting off a shuttle bus at the Weeping Rock stop, the trailhead for his intended hike. He was reported missing by his family later that day when he failed to return. Park officials immediately found his car still parked at the visitor center. This kicked off a multi-day search involving park rangers, a K-9 unit, and a helicopter crew. They focused their efforts on the Observation Point Trail and the adjoining East Mesa Trail, scouring the rugged and complex terrain. But the search turned up nothing. Not a single trace of Chip Lewis was found. No discarded gear, no footprints, nothing to indicate what might have happened. The trail he was on is known for its steep drop-offs and switchbacks, and one misstep can be fatal. The most straightforward theory is that he suffered a tragic fall in a remote, inaccessible area. However, other possibilities can't be ruled out. Could he have had a sudden medical emergency? Or could he have become disoriented and wandered off the main trail into the vast backcountry? Zion is a labyrinth of canyons and plateaus, and getting lost can happen frighteningly fast. What makes this case so baffling is the complete lack of evidence. It's as if a man, an experienced hiker in a popular park, simply stepped onto the trail and vanished into thin air. There were no witnesses to an accident and no clues left behind. His family and the Park Service have held out hope for years, but the trail has gone cold. Chip Lewis is one of several hikers who have disappeared in Zion over the years, their fates sealed somewhere within its beautiful but unforgiving landscape. His story is a chilling reminder of how quickly a day hike in one of America's most beloved parks can turn into an enduring mystery. Section 3. The Unsolved Homicide of Enrique Roman Martinez. Not all disappearances in our parks are a battle between a person and the elements. Sometimes, the most dangerous predator in the wilderness walks on two legs. Our third case takes us to the windswept islands of North Carolina's Cape Lookout National Seashore, and involves a young soldier whose life was cut tragically short. This is the story of Specialist Enrique Roman Martinez. Enrique was a 21-year-old paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne Division, stationed at Fort Bragg. His family described him as sweet and shy, a young man who dreamed of becoming a pharmacologist after his service. On Memorial Day weekend in May 2020, Enrique went camping at Cape Lookout with 7 fellow soldiers. They set up their site on South Core Banks, a remote island accessible only by boat. According to the others, the last time they saw Enrique was around midnight on May 22nd. He reportedly walked away from the campsite, leaving his wallet, glasses, and cell phone behind in his tent. The next evening, nearly 24 hours after he was last seen, one of the soldiers called 911 to report him missing. A search was launched, but for 6 days, there was nothing. Then, on May 29th, the hope for his safe return was shattered. Human remains washed ashore on a nearby island. Dental records confirmed they belonged to Enrique Roman Martinez. The discovery was horrifying. It was only his head. An autopsy confirmed Enrique had been murdered. He hadn't drowned or gotten lost. He had been killed. This turned a missing person case into a complex homicide investigation led by the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Division, CID. The focus immediately fell on the 7 soldiers he was with. What happened at that campsite? Was there an argument? A fight that escalated? The soldiers claimed Enrique just wandered off. But for a young man to walk away on a remote island, leaving his phone and wallet, is deeply strange. The fact that his dismembered remains were found suggests a desperate attempt to cover up a horrific crime. For years, the Army CID has investigated, but no arrests have been made. They've offered a reward of up to $50,000 for information, a clear sign they need help to break the case open. The silence from those on the island is deafening. Is it possible an outsider came to the island and committed this act? Or does someone who was there know more than they're saying? Enrique's sister, Griselda Martinez, has become a vocal advocate for her brother, pushing for justice. She doesn't believe he just wandered off. She believes someone he was with is responsible. His case is a chilling reminder that the dangers in our parks aren't always natural. Someone knows what happened on that island, and until they come forward, Enrique's murder remains a cold, unsolved stain on the sands of Cape Lookout. Section 4. The Resolved Mystery of Michael Allen McKinney. Our final story from 2020 takes us to the woodlands of Ohio, to Houston Woods State Park. This case is different from the others. For more than 2 years, it was a mystery. But this story now has an ending. A tragic one, but an ending nonetheless. It's the story of Michael Allen McKinney. Michael was 28 years old when he was last seen on May 22, 2020. He was living with his aunt and had been facing some personal struggles. On the day he disappeared, he packed his clothes and left the house without saying where he was going. He was reported missing the next day. His family knew he loved the outdoors and often visited Houston Woods State Park. Their fears were confirmed on May 30th, when an officer found Michael's car parked at a bird sanctuary in the park. His cell phone and tablet were inside. His wallet, keys, and vape pen were gone. This triggered a massive search. Police and volunteers combed through large areas of the state park, but they found no trace of Michael. For his mother, Yolanda Middleton, the next 2.5 years were a nightmare. She never gave up hope, hiring a private investigator and covering her yard with missing person signs. "I will never stop searching for my son," she told a local newspaper. The case grew cold. The seasons changed, the years passed, and Michael remained missing. The breakthrough finally came on December 7th, 2022. New search teams decided to check areas around the park that hadn't been searched before. In a remote area on a farm, about a mile from where Michael's car had been found, they discovered human remains. In February 2023, DNA testing confirmed it was Michael Allen McKinney. After more than 2.5 years, his mother finally had an answer. She went outside and took the missing sign down from her yard. The coroner couldn't determine a cause of death due to the condition of the remains, but police said they found no evidence of foul play. The most likely scenario is that he died by accident or by suicide, succumbing to the elements in a remote location where no one thought to look. While the mystery of where he was has been solved, the question of why it all happened may never be fully answered. His death is a tragedy born of personal struggle that ended in the quiet woods of Ohio. The resolution of his case didn't bring joy, but a final, somber closure. It underscores the quiet desperation that can lead someone to walk into the wilderness and not come back, leaving behind a puzzle that takes years to piece together. The year 2020 left a trail of unanswered questions across America's wildlands. The stories of Sandra Johnson Hughes, Chip Lewis, and Enrique Roman Martinez are just a few of the many cold cases that haunt our parks. For every person who is eventually found, like Michael McKinney, there are others who remain lost, their fates known only to the silent mountains and forests that became their final resting place. These parks are national treasures, but they are also wild, and they demand our respect. The stories of the vanished are a powerful, humbling reminder of that truth. They serve as a warning, but also as a memorial to those who walked into the wilderness and became a part of its enduring, and sometimes terrifying, mystery. What do you think happened in these cases? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. Stay safe, and never underestimate the wild.